Thank you everyone for joining us today for this very special info session. My name is Linus. If you don't know me, I am the career advisor here at the college. We are also joined by Mark, who I'll let him introduce himself in a bit. We're going to talk about today about the Community Connections program. It's a very exciting program we're going to launch for the winter 2021 semester. I've been working closely together with Mark Friesen, who is our executive director. I think most students, maybe you have not met Mark yet. And if you haven't, maybe I'll let Mark give a big introduction to himself, to the CC community.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you, Linus, and welcome everybody this afternoon. As Linus said, my name is Mark Friesen, and I'm the executive director of charitable programs at Columbia College. And before we dive into this program in particular, just a bit of context about what that is and what that means. Columbia College is a slightly different entity than other post-secondary institutions. There are public sector organizations which are directly funded by the government. There are independent post-secondary institutions, most of them privately owned and operated. Columbia College is independent, but a charity. So a nonprofit organization and a charity. And because we're a charity, our mission and mandate must remain focused on education, and we always have to be giving back to students and advancing our purposes in education. In 2019, the board made a decision to expand and grow charitable programs. And so what that means is looking at new ways that we can support students and also have students in the college connected to the community around us. So if you want further information on charitable programs that we've started to grow as part of that direction and that decision in 2019, you can go on our website and go About Us. And then under About Us, there's a tab called Charitable Programs. And you can click there and you can see the different things that we've come up with to lead forward. So that's my role at the college, is to oversee and coordinate that charitable work that is starting to roll out just this year. So much of it is things we did before and making it bigger, and then there are other new programs as well. So one of those things is this program, Community Connections program. So as I mentioned, part of the goal with charitable programming at the college was new ways to support students, but also to connect the college with the community, the local community. And this program is really exciting because it kind of does both. So the idea here is, as part of an opportunity to students, to give students at Columbia College an opportunity to have work experience opportunities and work experience placements, and also to support some local nonprofits and community organizations in the region where Columbia College is located. So in January, we're just going to be piloting the program. And before Linus is reminding me by advancing the slide that before I dive into that, I should talk about the agenda. So you're going to hear from me at the outset describing what I've already started outlining, the overview of the program that we're piloting in January, and that we'll be going through this afternoon. And then we'll just give a little bit of context and background about the organizations that have agreed to provide us with a placement and an opportunity for students. Then I'm going to turn it over to Linus, career advisor, who many of you know, who's going to describe the eligibility requirements to participate in this pilot program and the steps to apply for the program. And then at the end, there will be an opportunity for questions. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Myself and Linus are clicking buttons at the same time. This is great. Okay, so community connections. As I mentioned, connect the college with local community organizations. So we're piloting this in January, and we just have a few placements. So the idea is local community organizations provide a externship. And I'll define an externship is defined there in that second bullet. An externship is a placement with an organization where they provide support to the things that organization is doing. The idea with an externship, why it's not an internship, why it's not a co-op program, you know, there's a whole bunch of names that can be used to describe this sort of thing. The key feature of an externship is it's a work placement that can occur while students are still studying. So the idea is it's not a placement where you pause your studies. The idea is you continue studying, you continue taking your classes at Columbia College, but in the meantime, you're also taking this paid work opportunity with a local organization. And really the idea is to give Columbia College students exposure to either project support roles or administrative support roles or project management roles with local organizations that are in the community where we find ourselves. We are just, because we've never done anything like this, the program is a pilot that's launching in January. So the organizations we've reached out to are keen and willing to provide a role for students and to run the program with us to see how it goes. So this is a learning opportunity for the college to figure out how it goes. So we've never done anything like this. So both with the students who are successfully placed with organizations and the organizations we're working with, we're going to be monitoring and working closely with everyone collaboratively to kind of see how the program goes. And the idea is, based on the experience of the pilot program in January, to then see about growing and expanding the program in future semesters going forward. So the way we've structured the placements, again, externship, so while students are studying, it covers the duration of the winter semester, so from January to April. Because we want you to be able to continue studying, the maximum working hours is 15 hours per week. We've asked the organizations who are providing the placements to provide a minimum of 12 hours. So if you're wondering how much time is involved, that's the range, is placements between 12 and 15 hours per week. That is up to the organization, the exact number of hours. And then the wages, we've asked participating organizations to make sure they're paying students at least $16 an hour. And some context for prospective applicants. Students that will be placed with the organizations, they will go, they'll become an employee of the organization, and they'll go on the payroll of the organization. However, Columbia College, to make the program work, as a charitable program, we are providing those organizations with the funding to make this work. So again, by way of context, this is a way that Columbia College can provide direct support to local organizations, nonprofits, and community benefit organizations by providing funding so that they can hire additional support. And then the organizations can use those funds to pay a student to provide some either administrative or project support, as I just described. Students who are placed through the program in the pilot will be supported by Linus, and then I'll be very involved in the program too, as I mentioned, because this is a pilot. We're wanting to learn what works and what doesn't work, and making sure that the organizations who are providing the placements get what they're looking for in terms of support for the work that they do from successful students, and also that the students have positive experience. And ultimately, we want these placements to be things that are going to help the students advance in their careers, have tangible defined tasks that can go on their resume as direct experience working with local nonprofits, and also for you, the successful students, to build relationships and form connections with the local community, with the organizations that we're connecting with in this program. So, as I mentioned, we're just doing this as a pilot. So for January, there's not many placements available. We are doing a small number right now because we do want to figure out the parameters of the program to make it successful before we go really big and scale it up. So for January, there's only a couple of placements. These are the organizations on this slide that have expressed an interest in the program. And by way of context, each of them has provided a draft overview of the potential role. So the steps, well, no, I'll pause on the steps. We'll leave that till the end. I'll just describe these organizations. So as I mentioned, we're doing it as a pilot with these organizations. The goal in the future would be possibly to expand to other types of nonprofits. These are the ones we're starting with. Canadian Mental Health Association. So Canadian Mental Health is a provincial association that provides support for mental health and well-being of British Columbians of all backgrounds, all ages, all demographics. And Canadian Mental Health Associations has different chapters throughout the province. So the placement for Canadian Mental Health Association is the Vancouver Fraser branch of the Canadian Mental Health Association. That placement is an administrative support role that they've expressed an interest in providing to a student. Vantage Point is a nonprofit that supports other not-for-profits throughout the province. They provide support for nonprofits in all different sectors, and they're looking for an administrative role to provide data entry, document organization, web maintenance, and web updates for volunteer position postings that they put up, and a range of other duties, and supporting their staff to provide capacity building services. 312 Main is a very interesting new project. So they're located, the name is the address of where they're located. 312 Main is the former Vancouver Police Department, located in the downtown east side, so very close to where the college is located. The Vancouver Police are no longer there. They've moved their headquarters quite some time ago, actually. And so the community, because the police moved out, turned the building into a social venture, social innovation community space. So there are over 40 nonprofits and community organizations that have their operations or their headquarters for operations at 312 Main. And it's almost like a cooperative, a co-working space, I guess is the language. So this, the placement at 312 Main would be providing administrative and welcoming and facility support to the organizations that use that space right located at 312 Main. Success, I'll give Linus speak about them. YWCA, many people know the Y around the world, and they have not confirmed the parameters of the placement that they're looking for, or the specifics of what placement they might be interested in providing. And I think that's the case also with Success. But both, again, are nonprofits and community organizations with whom Columbia College has a relationship and that are close to us. Do you want to say anything about Success, Linus?
Sure. So Success, some of you may know them. They are an organization that helps newcomers to Canada. For their specific position that they're looking for someone to fill in administrative tasks. They do have a number of programs running from January to April, such as a tax clinic that they always run during the tax season. They're doing like a seniors delivery program because we are in this pandemic. They are helping their senior population in terms of groceries and medications. So you're not actually going to be physically doing the tax clinic. You're not actually going to be physically delivering anything. It's more just overseeing the project, helping data entry and understanding how to recruit volunteers and how to oversee the program. So Success is a pretty large organization. They have offices in Vancouver, Burnaby, Richmond, all throughout the Lower Mainland. And they have actually been at Columbia College before to recruit students for volunteers. So you may have actually met them before.
Awesome. Thanks, Linus. So that's all the detail we're going to give today about the participating organizations or the placements. As I mentioned, Linus will go through the next steps for the project in a moment. Suffice to say, the detailed role descriptions will be provided. So anybody who's interested will be able to view more detail about the roles that we're piloting this program with later on. Overall, though, long term, the hope is that this program will, starting with a couple of placements in the winter semester, ideally it would expand based on our learning, and it would be further growth of the program would focus on placements for organizations that fit these categories. So again, the focus is nonprofit and community organizations. So this is the college's way of connecting with and supporting the local community. But pardon me, with organizations in these sectors that are listed here, and I'm not going to go through those. And just for everyone's context, where the college is located, there are a lot of organizations in each of these categories. So there are a phenomenal number of amazing, impactful community organizations in all these categories that I'm personally pretty excited about giving students exposure to and getting the college connected with in a program like this. So we're quite excited for both the relationships we've started to make with this pilot program and where it could go from here based on what we learn in the winter semester. So I think that I'll turn it over to you, Linus, to go through eligibility and next steps.
Sure. So I've already gotten some questions and emails from students asking who's eligible, am I eligible for the program? Just to quickly go over, I have attached an info sheet in the email, but we'll kind of talk over this as well. If you have any more questions at the end, please don't hesitate to ask. First, you have to be a current Columbia College student, and you are expected to be enrolled in the winter 2021 semester. I've also had questions from students asking if I'm overseas, am I eligible to take part in this program? So we are only looking for students who are eligible to work in Canada. So you kind of have to be living in the lower mainland area because some of the positions that Mark and myself talked about, they may require a blended in-person and remote. Some are completely in-person. So it really depends on organization and their needs. And you have to have a valid social insurance number. Also, it's a little hard to see here. So you have to have good academic standing, so not on academic probation. Again, you don't have to prove this to us in your application. We can simply just, search it up. You also are expected to complete at least 24 credits and English 100. Reason being is we're looking for students who at least have, say, professional English proficiency in a workplace. 24 credits is more just a guideline so that we're looking for students who have been here for at least a year. I had a couple students saying they're going to complete 24 credits by end of the semester. That's fine as well. And also asset would be Microsoft Office. As again, Mark and myself talked about, a lot of these positions that are open do require you to complete administrative type of tasks, data entry. So familiarity with Microsoft Excel, Word, Teams, Zoom, which all of you are, I'm sure, familiar with at this point, will come in handy. And also, if you have any previous working experience or interest or passion in working for nonprofit organizations, I know some of you have probably already volunteered at different kind of local nonprofits or community-based organizations in the past. If you want to kind of expand your career path or even just learn about a new field, that's considered an asset as well. But again, it's not a requirement.
And Linus, if I could just add, related to these requirements, these roles are, while we want them to be targeted to students that are continuing their studies, they're not related to your coursework. These are jobs that these nonprofits need to have happen. So they do have a minimum skill level required because really many of these organizations, they do provide critical services to the communities that they serve. And so the students who are placed in this program will be expected, they'll be evaluated based on their performance and expected to perform and carry out the role that they're assigned by the organization. So we also want to be confident in setting you up for success and putting you in these placements.
Yes, so kind of building on Mark's point too. So students who are shortlisted, we will kind of set up like a meet and greet with the organization, trying to find a match between the organization and the student so that, again, is successful on both sides. And I think Mark also previously mentioned that students will get support from the college, myself, throughout the whole 14-week term. So it's not like we're just going to send you off to the employer and, have fun. We're going to have hopefully maybe bi-weekly check-ins, trying to see if things are going well with you and the organization. And again, hopefully that everything is a win-win for both sides. So how to apply? You're going to have to submit a resume and cover letter to me by November 25th at 5 p.m. November 25th, I think that is a Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. No, it's a Wednesday. So Wednesday next week at 5 p.m. I know for previous on-campus jobs like our student services assistant jobs, the SEA jobs, or the resettlement program jobs, I have been helping students in their application process. Unfortunately, now since me and Mark are overseeing the application, I will not be able to give specific advice on your application. I will be able to still, connect with students on giving general advice, but it'll be kind of weird if I work on your resume and I'm looking at your resume to kind of, see if it's good or not. So I will be open to giving general advice. I'm actually also hosting a resume workshop next week. If any of you are planning to kind of build your resume for this application, which I'll be sending out in the next few days. And in your cover letter, we are expecting, kind of write about reasons as to why you're looking to gain more experience in the local nonprofit community-based sector. Talk about, even if you have previous experience, highlight some experiences that you have volunteering before, or if it's something that you always wanted to do, talk about why you want to do it. So really highlight and emphasize why and what makes you a good fit for this position. And again, if you have any questions, please send me an email. And I am expecting resumes and cover letters till Wednesday next week at 5 p.m. It can be a little bit lenient, but again, that's kind of like the deadline that we are working with. So here are some important dates. So as I mentioned, November 25th, Wednesday, 5 p.m. That's the application deadline for students. Notification, we're going to shortlist hopefully in the next few days after that. We've already, like Mark said, we've already had a few organizations who are participating. It's still a work in progress, a lot of this. So, do expect some changes to the dates. And again, we're going to set up interviews with the selected students and the organizations, hopefully in the first week of December. Again, we're going to try to make sure that students are matched up appropriately with specific organizations. And the placements will start from January all the way to April. So we're expecting about 14 weeks. Also, an important question which I want to bring up, which I've had a few students ask me. So this externship will go into your off-campus work hours. So I'm guessing majority of you are international students. And as you know, international students are permitted to work 20 hours off campus during the semester. Some of you may have jobs already. For those that don't have jobs, great. But for those that do have jobs, I know some are asking me like, what happens if you're already working at a place for 15 hours a week, 20 hours a week? What happens? Are you still eligible? You could still apply, but just understand that if you are selected, you may have to leave your current job or take a leave or ask for reduced hours. So that's something that you have to work out with your employer if you are in that situation. So that's something I just want to put out there, that this externship, this work placement does go into off-campus work hours. It's different from other on-campus jobs like the student services assistant jobs or the student engagement ambassadors. These are on campus, so they can work as many hours as they want, but these fall under off-campus. So you have to kind of take in consideration the 20 hours limit.
No, that's a really good point, Linus. And just to highlight that, encourage anyone, if you feel this might be a fit, to put in an application. But as Linus articulated, just to be clear, so Linus and myself will be shortlisting the students to put forward, but then it will be up to the organizations to meet directly with those who we've shortlisted and to kind of make the selection. The students are going to be working with them. So the students that get placed need to get along well and need to have a good rapport with the organizations that are doing the placement. And it's an opportunity for students too to through that the interviews that are described there in the third bullet, to be getting a sense of the organization and making sure that they're comfortable also with the placement and the job that's described. So at the point when you do see detailed descriptions that'll be posted, to look at those in detail and to be honest with yourself about whether you do feel like you're a good fit for that role.
All right, I think we can open up the floor for questions. Are we going to do
the Q&A panel?
Let's see. I think I see a question. Mark, can you see in the chat box? I don't know, my browser's kind of acting weird. I can only see like half the screen. So I think Sanav has a question about LPI. Could you see that?
I can't see it, no.
Okay, hold on. Because I can only see like half the question. Give me a second. Okay, so will LPI test grade count for language proficiency? Again, we do require you to at least complete English 100. But why don't you send me an email and maybe, give me more details about your LPI test score, and maybe we can kind of look at it. But again, the requirements are completion of English 100. Any more questions? Can you see that one, Mark, in the chat box? Oh, never mind. Carolina's got it. I have LOA from Columbia College, but I haven't started classes yet. So is it possible for me to take part in this Community Connections program? So you haven't started. So who was that? Miradula. So are you saying you are not you haven't started classes at Columbia College ever, or are you going to be planning to take classes in winter? Or can you explain about your situation more?
I will just say while that person is answering, Linus, the assumption is that you have students do have to have completed, I think it's 24 credits.
Yeah, right.
24 credits. So yeah, just have that in my English 100 and 24 credits. So if you are a brand new student, you may not be eligible. I do see another question here. Oh, it got taken away. So never mind. Linus says, do 24 credits include 8 credits from high school?
We're looking mostly for post-secondary credits, so not high school, unfortunately. So we're looking at post-secondary.
And then another question: do you need to have previous experience in the job in order to be considered for the position? I would say it's not required, no. As Linus mentioned, in your cover letter, to be really giving us a clear sense of why you're interested in getting a role with a nonprofit or community organization. And if you do have any volunteer, to please put that in. We are, depending on the applications, we will give preference to those who may have had some experience working in nonprofits, but it's absolutely not required. So put your best foot forward, and we're not going to exclude students who haven't had any experience necessarily. So no, it's not required. So please, if you are interested and keen, to encourage you to put in an application.
Okay, I think I see a question from Corinne asking English 101. Yeah, English 101 is good.
That'll meet that requirement, Linus?
Yeah. English 101 is good.
Yeah.
Because I think one of the prereqs for 101 is English 100, so that's fine. Any other questions? Yeah, to build on that point for that Mark kind of talked about the experience. It's nice if you have experience as an asset, but again, it's not like a key requirement. Again, with the work that you may be tasked with, there is a whole bunch of different kind of duties that you may have to do. So experience is always good, but if you don't have it, that's fine too.
So there's a question: how will you guys choose after the webinar? Yeah, no, we're not making any decisions after this webinar. We're gonna select students from those who apply. So you do have to apply. We're not tracking the people who are here today, and looking at the names of people here today to make any selections or decisions. It'll be based on those who put in a cover letter and a resume to Linus by next Wednesday at 5 p.m. Then there's a question about not decided if joining the winter semester. I guess you could still put in an application, but you know, to be eligible, you will have to have completed English 100 as a minimum and the 24 credits. Mm-hmm. And in terms of, we will only finalize placements with students who do end up enrolled in the winter semester. So if you put in an application and end up not enrolling, I mean, that's fine, because we'll only proceed with students who do end up confirming their registration for the winter semester.
Yeah. Could you read that question from Jaspreet, Mark?
Oh yeah. I'm currently overseas, but I will be back in January. Is there a set date for placements to begin?
When's the first week of class? January 11th, I think, is when first week of classes start. So we're hoping around first week of class or second week of class. So if you're back by then, that'll be great.
Yeah, and the organizations who've expressed an interest, they provided a role description, but they haven't confirmed a hard start date. So I'd suggest there would be a little bit of flexibility there, but yeah, we do want it when the semester starts.
Yeah, which is January 11 is when the first day of classes start. Deepesh is asking.
Yeah, will I have to quit my current job if I am eligible or by January? I mean, as Linus said, that's, I think, well, I should let you answer, Linus. Some of the jobs, so the hours are going to be from 12 to 15 hours. So that's really up to you to monitor whether what you're permitted to work. Some of the placements are going to be, like one of them, for instance, they have indicated they want the student for 12 hours a week. And the other is at 15, some of the other ones are 15 hours a week. So that'll be up to you to think about and to kind of confirm that. Linus, what else would you say about that?
Yeah. You know, Deepesh, if you are planning to apply for this, you can still technically work at your current job, but again, like you may have to ask for reduced hours and try to find a good in between that works well. If they're asking, say, your other job's asking you to work like 18 hours, 15 hours, then realistically, you're not going to be able to take part in the program then.
So yeah, we can give it a couple more minutes for questions, but if people think of questions after today's webinar, do please email Linus and we'll be happy to answer those. Oh, this is a good question. So the question is, do all the organizations require some physical interactions or some need online volunteers only? So the placements that have come in, we do have some of each. So for instance, the 312 main role is a in-person welcome desk role. So they do need an in-person role. However, the Vantage Point role and what was the other one? Canadian Mental Health Association. So Vantage Point is working only online right now. So that one is, they're only looking for somebody to support the work administratively from a computer online. And then the Canadian Mental Health Association, they've actually said it would be up to the student to determine if they do a mix of in-person and at home online, or completely online or completely in person. It would be up to them. So there is a mix of roles.
We just also want to make sure that everyone is comfortable in however working environment you are in. I know some students are comfortable working in person with physical interaction, some are not. So we're going to take that into account and hopefully find a good fit for you.
That's a good point. And actually, I should highlight too, I didn't describe this, but the organizations that we ultimately enter into a placement agreement with. So I should say that to successful students for these placements, once we get through the complete selection process, an agreement will be signed between the organization, the student, and Columbia College. So all three agents or participants, I guess, the college, the student, the organization, agreeing to the terms of the work placement. And Columbia College is requiring organizations, they have to demonstrate thus they have a current WorkSafe BC clearance letter, they have COVID-19 protocols and policies, especially for the organizations that do have in-person services or in-person expectations of students. They have to share with us their COVID protocols and plans, and demonstrate that they do have basic human resources and people policies in place to support a positive working environment. So there is some minimum diligence that we're going through to make sure organizations are providing a good experience.
I think it's a question from Corinne. I can't see. Do they give you a job to?
Oh,
what was it, Mark?
Do they give you a job to fit your school timetable, or do you have to find a way to work around it? That's a very good question. So again, the roles are different. So the 312 main, the welcome desk, they would have fairly defined hours that they would need. I think there would be some flexibility, but maybe less than the other roles. Whereas I do believe the Vantage Point role would be very flexible and could be absolutely worked around a timetable, and likewise with Canadian Mental Health Association. Now, I should say, though, that these organizations, they know that we want these placements for students who are currently taking classes. So our hope is that absolutely all the roles, there would be some flexibility there, but some of them would have some particular hours they would need students to work within. But yeah, our hope is that they would be flexible to accommodate student timetables. Did I answer that, Linus? I don't know if was that a confusing answer or was that kind of clear?
Yeah, I mean, they are understanding that you are a student, so they're not going to expect you to work like 9 to 5 because they know that you have classes most likely in the daytime. So the organizations are going into this knowing that they are taking on students, not full-time employees.
All right, maybe one more minute for questions, and then we'll call it a wrap. And if people do have follow-up questions, they can reach out after the fact. Yeah, I don't see anything else, Linus. Should we conclude?
Let's see. Yeah. I got some private. I just noticed I have some like private chats here. I didn't know you could do that.
Oh.
Yeah, but if anyone has any more questions, please don't hesitate to type it in the chat box.
Yeah, I think if they are private questions for Linus, maybe follow up via email. And but otherwise, yeah, I don't see any other questions in the public box, so we can conclude there. Oh, here we go. So there's one specific to the Canadian Mental Health Association. Off the top of my head, I cannot remember if they require Microsoft Office. I do believe. Well, I don't remember. Do you remember, Linus?
CMHA, I think it was an admin assistant, right? So I'm going to assume admin assistant. Most likely, you're going to need at least some experience with MS Office.
Yeah.
Or that will help again as an asset, right? But if you do have experience in a professional setting of MS Office, that will definitely help your cases.
Mm-hmm.
All right, does anyone have any more questions? If you have any more questions, like Mark said, my email is on the screen right there. You can always shoot me an email whenever you have any questions or message me on Teams. And again, for those that do need help, say, building a resume, I am hosting a workshop on Tuesday, so day before the application deadline. So I will be sending that out in the next few days. If you need general help in the application process, again, I can give general advice, but not really specific ones. But again, please don't hesitate to reach out to me.
And as I mentioned at the outset, this is one of the new programs that we're launching under the College New Charitable Programs. So if people want to see an outline of all the things the college is contemplating doing kind of in that category, some of it's stuff we've done before, but there are some new items, and this is one of them. So it's under About Us, and then there's a tab for charitable programs, so you can pop in there. And my email address is listed there if people have a question about overall community and charitable programs at Columbia College.
Yes, we are having a whole bunch of new programs under the charitable the program, so you'll probably hear more about this soon as well. A lot of new stuff happening in 2021 for sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay, last question, and then I think we'll call it. I have a letter of agreement for January semester 2021, so I'm getting to start my classes. So am I eligible? So yeah, similar to other people's questions, you have to have at least 24 credits at Columbia College. So if January is going to be your first semester here, then you would likely not be eligible.
Unless you transfer from another local university into here that had your 24 credits. Yeah, so I think there was one student asking me in the private chat where they did, I think, English 100 in another institution. So if you had that 24 credits or however much credits from like FIC or Alexander College or Langara, wherever, and you transfer here to CC, then yeah, it's fine because you've been through the Canadian post-secondary system. But for completely new students that have never been in Columbia College or have never been in a Canadian post-secondary institute, then yeah, unfortunately, we are only looking for students that have been in the system for like a year at least.
That's a good point, Linus. A good clarification. That's good.
All right, I think should be good to go, Mark.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much, everyone, for attending this afternoon and finding out more. We look forward to the applications and ultimately having some students placed with some organizations in the winter and seeing how this program goes.
All right. Thanks, everyone. And good luck. Good luck for your applications.